Hey dudes, it's me, Mighty the Armadillo here, and I am back for some more of yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Mario Party 5 for the Nintendo GameCube. So yesterday, we did manage to showcase off what story mode has to offer for, even though despite the fact that we're probably not going to do the actual Let's Play on story mode just because you probably already know that I've already shown you guys every single boards in party mode, but that's how it goes for me for the sake of time. So yeah, for today is the fact that we're going to be hit on to the next mode, which appears to be some sort of a uniquest mode ever, which appears to be Super Duel mode. And the host on that mode is Scholar, which is basically based off from the likes of Chapter 3, Star Spirit from the original Paper Mario. If you try to able to actually go for this whole labyrinth in the beginning portion of that, you know, the forest maze kind of section, so, but you know what I mean. So, it kind of feels like similar to Duel mode in Mario Party 3, but it's not, because basically the whole suggestions with Super Duel mode is all about, basically you can actually create your very own machines. So for instance, that about the fact that you can either go onto one-player garage or two-player garage, so you can able to play Super Duel mode with your friend or what have you, as well as the forms of Garage B, I have no idea what that's there, and also the forms of the gallery, you know, garage, and the forms of the surface desk, which you can get able to actually talk to Scholar right here, and basically you can able to actually just purchase some of these vehicle parts based off from what minigame categories you're able to actually play through. So like for instance, for example, that we actually have ourselves these body types, which in order able to actually get currency, as you can see, you have to basically play minigames. Like for instance, that you play 4-player minigames and basically you get some currency from the actual body types. So there's body types and there's also tires, engines, and finally weapons. So because of this though, some of them are pretty expensive to able to purchase them, but as you can see, I've already almost maxed out the amount of those 4-player points, as you can see, because basically that I haven't really touched upon this game for quite some time, but I did manage to play this game loads of times. So yeah, here's the actual tires. So depending on these attributes, depending on what specific equipment you go for, basically sometimes they're able to actually offer us some different distributions, or even in this case, different status quo. Like, we'll point it out whenever we get into the forms of, well, whenever we get onto the main action. So in this case though, now we have some engines here, even though mind you I haven't really got that much points, as you can tell, just because of how the fact that, again, it's been donkey's years since I actually touched this mode. Mainly it's because I'm more into the forms of party mode and all that stuff though, so chances are there's going to be a lot of emphasis on that. So and as you can tell, that if we got ourselves the question marks on the specific missing spots, they basically what this means is the fact that this is the only one that we have not exactly unlocked yet. Specifically, what the actual unlockable requirements is. So, must admit though, I probably need to get back into this at some point. So, and as you can tell, I haven't purchased that much weapons, mainly it's because I haven't played that much of battle games, as a matter of fact. So, but you know, you get the idea about this. You can also just do a bit of a trial battle as well if you want to test them. So even then though, but chances are, nothing right to home about. So, yeah, let's get into the forms of Garage A1, which stands for Player 1 Garage. And basically that we can able to, oh, before we get into that, let's just show off the forms of the actual Garage Gallery, which as you can tell, I've only got 2 picture frames, such as for instance I've got Toad on this awesome vehicle ever, which appears to be the EGAD vehicle, and alongside with that, isn't that DK? Or Donkey Kong? Oh yes, DK was actually in this. So this means we'll discuss on that in a second, because either way though, let's hop right into Garage A1, which again is 1 player. And of course there's also A2 Garage, which is basically represents 2-player mode that you can able to play multiplayer on this. So from here you can either just manage to edit it to your vehicle customization, or just look at the forms of the actual vehicle itself, or even delete your vehicle and try to start again from scratch, but I'm probably not going to do that. So you can able to actually just versus battle, which means you can able to actually battle against with your friend, and even the D1 tournament, which you can able to battle against with these CPU machines. So we'll show those off anyway. So, and it looks like, yep, DK, he's technically a playable character in Mario Party 5, but only in Super Duel mode. So no party mode or anything else like that. Kind of a shame, but at least we can able to play as DK on this mode. So because of this though, I think I should probably play as him on this mode. So because of that though, because we have, we haven't played DK since Mario Party 4. So because of that though, once you select the character, you have 3 different competitions. There's battle competition, flag competition, and finally the Robo Rabbit competition. And I'll show all 3 of these basically, so just to let you guys know how these battles are usually placed out to be. So of course we'll start the one that started it all, which appears to be battle competition, and we'll go for hardcore by going through hard mode. And because of that though, yeah, these difficulties along with these other 2 competitions do need to be unlocked, by the way, if you really want to be able to first time playing this particular, you know, Super Duel mode. And basically, if you go into the actual tournament, you can able to actually compete against with either one of those players. Although commonly, if you're able to play easier or normal modes, basically the most common foe you can able to fight against is, of course, Mini Bowser or Koopa Kid in North America. But as far as occasional normal mode or even hard difficulties, as you can see, we're actually going to be competing against with any other familiar Mario's faces. So because of this though, for instance, the first round, the first match we're going to be face off against is Yoshi. And we do have 90 seconds, by the way. So because of that though, that's able to give us a lot of time to work with. And basically, all you do in the battle competition is the fact that you need to be the last one survives, or to be more specifically, you have to knock your opponent out before you move on to the next round. So because of this though, as you can tell, since this is on hard mode, this means I might as well get myself butt kicks later on. Especially noticeable when we get to the forms of the finals. Or, to be more specifically, there are a few rare occasions on hard difficulty on certain tournaments. Basically, Bowser will show up. And basically, if Bowser will able to attempt to show up, this means it's going to be makes things a little bit of a struggle. Which, even then though, we'll point it out whenever when he managed to, oh gosh, he's going to make it. And surprisingly enough, Peach managed to win the quarters match. So now let's move on to the semi-finals, which we have to face off against with Luigi, and he only has 1 health. Gee, so much for his weak weapons, or the weak machines that he's got, and he's already been taken down, like, no sweat. So yeah, depending on what machines you're able to place in, sometimes you get, like, few different attributes, like, for instance, like, speed, turning, and also, I would say the forms of the amount of health that you're able to get, and also some everything else for the most part, which I totally forgot, just because I know it has been, you know, donkey's years since I actually last touched this mode, just because, well, then again, there's nothing right to hum about, but at least it's kind of cool to be able to actually see this mode in action, so anyways though, here we go on to the finals. So in this case, the Beast Donkey Kong, in this case Maxie's name, even though he forgot to put an I on there. But, whatever. And then, of course, we got ourselves the toughest foe ever, which appears to be Bowser himself. So after all these events, when Tiana managed to lost by Bowser from the likes of Panel Panic twice, so I wonder if we can able to actually get payback from the likes of Panel Panic from Mario Party 4. But we'll see what happens. So every time whenever you get into the forms of the final matches or anything else to be more specific, basically you always attempt to see that little cinematic scene when someone comes around and all that stuff, so yeah, there's not much else to say about this from here. But as you can see on screen, that since I'm going to be using the EGAD vehicle machine throughout the whole entire thing, so this means that his weapon, the EGAD weapon, is actually a really useful weapon. Especially noticeable that, get this, it actually directly homes in on everyone. So in this case though, if I was going to try and able to get an easy shot aiming for, well, let's say Bowser or something, then basically if I manage to fire the actual projectile, oh jeez, this is not looking good. And there's also a rare occasion where Mushroom starts to come, what did I just run into that like an idiot? Oh well, we lost. Nothing right to hum about, but at least we'll let Bowser win. Speaking of such though, that could be a reference to forms of since May from the likes of DK versus Bowser tour. From the likes of Mario Kart Tour reference. So yeah, that's can be you know what I mean. So yeah, that was pretty much about it in terms of battle competition. Sometimes that competition can be pretty tough though, even on hard mode in that case, because they all obviously know they're about to ride against with you. So yeah, that's nothing right to home about. The next competition we are moving on to right now is the flag competition. And basically, the objective on this, it kind of feels like the same thing as the battle competition, except the conditions and even rules this time around is actually a lot changed. To be more specifically, rather than just dealing with the actual health bars, instead, in order to be able to win the matches in the flag competition, you need to collect about 3 flags, and then if you grab all 3 flags, depending on what specific spawning points they're placed, then you basically move on to the next match. So it's pretty easy and simple once you get the hang of this though, especially noticeable if you're trying to able to, well, if you're feeling lucky enough, if you managed able to try to obtain certain flags like so, then you would be able to do this no problem. So either way though, it looks like we now face off against with DK, and it looks like Bowser's back. But usually relatively speaking is the fact that, you know, we always ended up on the forms of the exact same arena, in the forms of the Player 1 tournament mode, because unlike the multiplayer in Super Duel mode, that, oh Jesus Louise, looks like that DK's vehicle was actually a lot faster than it thought it was, and in fact that he's almost close to winning. And by the way, if you manage to get hit and get stunned, well, if you get hit by any other weapons, then basically you get stunned for a few seconds and you won't be able to accelerate until you're able to actually just, well, oh wow, I somehow got lucky right there. In fact, I almost got myself a bit screwed over if DK managed to get this last flag, but apparently I did manage to get it there first, due to that spawning point, so thanks for that. And let's see whoever wins this. Oh, Boo managed able to beat Bowser down. Okay, I'm gonna be alright with this, because after all, that Bowser just kicked my butt during the course of the battle competition if I was not being careful enough. But you know, you get the suggestions by that point with the flag competition, so yeah, there's not much else to say. It's actually rather easy, to be honest with you, when it comes to like winning certain flag competition matches and stuff like that, because there are a few times that basically, depending on the actual flag's respawn points they're able to put up with, so yeah, there's not much right to home about with that for sake of that competition mode, if I have to say so for myself, but still. And also another thing, as I said this earlier, that you can also play as in multiplayer, but at least in multiplayer you can able to actually choose different environments and what have you, as opposed to just one environment like this. So because of this though, you will probably expect to see how this will go. Like, to be more specifically, you can either just battle each other in the grassy hill themes with windmills in the background, or you can able to compete against each other into outer space, or even lava, or even the forms of some other different environments like, I'm assuming desert or something? Although then again though, it's been donkey's years since actually last time I played Super Duel mode and stuff like that. I get this feeling that this environment right here that it usually covers in is like, I would say snow or something, which can be represents likely ice physics or something, but then again though, there are a few environmental things they might as well change, even though it does remind me of Mario Tennis Ultra Smash for a small extent, like, you know, changing the actual flowings and all that stuff, which makes things a little bit tricky and difficult if you're not careful when it comes to certain things like this, so. But yeah, I did manage to win the entire tournament in the flag tournament nonetheless, so. Now let's move on to the last tournament, and we'll pick Toad this time around, and we're gonna be going on to the Robo Rabbit competition. And I have to be honest with you for this point, guys, this is the worst of the 3 minigames. This one is not good at all. This one is pretty stupid if you ask me. Like, all you have to do is just, you go around to the actual environments like you always been. And basically, during the forms of the actual match, the Robo Rabbit will appear And basically, all you have to do is basically you're gonna have to able to keep shooting at the Robo Rabbit. And you're gonna have to able to shoot the Robo Rabbit 3 times, by the way, in order to proceed the actual tournament. And it's not as easy as it sounds, especially noticeable that, as you can tell, that I'm still using my EGAD weapons, as you can see. That trying to aim for the actual Robo Rabbit is not easy, just because, well, thankfully, at least it does have a homing industry, or to be more specifically, the actual homing missile. They can able to actually, like, not only just try to hit their opponents to stun them, but also just manage to, hopefully, God forbid, trying to able to aim for the actual godforsaking, you know, Robo Rabbit nonetheless. So, oh, looks like Peach managed to able to beat Bowser this time, since the very beginning. Okay, that was quite shocking, honestly. However, the only thing is worth noting for is the fact that you can't play as Bowser in the actual tournament mode, just to let you guys know. So, that's something is worth noting for, because unlike Mario Party 4, in a Beach Volley Frolly minigame, that if you manage to complete battle mode for the first time, that way you can able to actually play as Bowser for the first time, but just only in one particular mode in mind. So, but not everything else for the most part, until Mario Party 10 for Bowser Party and Amiibo Party, and the majority of everything in Super Mario Party for sure. So, yeah, there's not much else to say in terms of Robo Rabbit competition, honestly. It's probably one of my least favorite competitions in terms of Super Duel mode, just because, well, it is pretty much, you need to be super accurate with the shots at the same time as well, if you really want to win every single matches in terms of, well, you know what I mean. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention what today it is today, is the fact that obviously today's day is of course the 1st of August today. And because of that though, I should be pretty excited to see how the rest of the summer is going to turn out to be. But in fact, let me know in the comments below for the question of the day. What do you think about the forms of summer so far for the sake of this year? Well, despite the fact that the beginning, well, let's just say that last year was terrible and all. Excuse me, as you guys probably already know by this point. And it looks like I'm about to be faced off against with Peach, huh? So, yeah, there's not much else to say about this. Even though I did have a decent time on the Forms of Summer this year, it's actually a lot better than last year was, at least from my recollection and stuff like that. Which is especially true because, you know, vaccinations and all that stuff, so everything else will be a hell of a lot more better than the Forms of How It Does Know last year, that's for sure. Although, it might not be perfect by any means though, just because, well, I'm sure that Maxi will mention more about that whenever we get into the final day of 2021. So, yeah, that's what I can honestly try to say about this for the most part. And by the way, if the Forms of the Time runs out, at least assuming if you don't have, like, all 3 Robo Rabbits or even all 3 flags, you might end up in a draw instead, so... And there's going to be a lot of hazards here and there, such as, for instance, those little spiny shells that you do need to avoid, and also these pipes will get in your way. In fact, this also reminds me of Shell Shocked from the likes of Mario Party 2, except the fact that they're now able to actually have, like, more flowing effects, and especially noticeable with more hazards to avoid, you know, with spiny shells, alongside with the forms of, well, basically pretty much everything you can probably expect when it comes to likely, like, well, you know what I'm saying. So either way though, and yeah, that was it for the Robo Rabbit competition. So again, it's probably my least favorite competitions, but it's just there if you really want to able to compete with you know, anyone else for the sake of the entire tournament. And by the way, every time when you win the tournament, basically you have an option to able to take a picture and stuff like that, and then just trying to put it into your, you know, garage gallery if you wanted to, which I appreciate. So, yeah, I guess that's pretty much about it in terms of Super Duel modes. Yeah, again, there's not much else to write to home about, so I guess we should probably end things off at this point right here. So because of this, join me next weekend for more of Let's Play of Mario Party 5, is that we're going to be hit on to the biggest thing ever, which appears to be the rest of the minigame modes, during the course of the next few weekends and such. I think we'll start things off with minigame battles, so I'll see you guys in next Saturday. Later, fellas.